Welcome to Cybersecurity Today. I'm Jim Wiggins, your guide through the complex landscape of cybersecurity. For our new viewers, allow me to offer a brief overview of our program. This program delves into the intricate world of cybersecurity. Drawing on my expertise and background in the field, I'm going to present insightful and engaging discussions on various computer security topics. Our 30-minute episodes, structured like a talk show or news segment, cover a wide range of themes, issues, and the latest advancements in cybersecurity. Designed for an audience ranging from novices all the way to experts, our show features critical insights and perspectives from leading cybersecurity professionals on emerging trends in the cybersecurity landscape. Our mission is to cater to a diverse viewership, whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned expert. We trust that you'll find today's installment both informative and engaging. Typically, our program is divided into two distinct segments. The first segment is known as Cyber Bites, and this segment highlights a range of contemporary issues and trends that are currently shaping the cybersecurity industry today. Then, in our second segment, we're excited to welcome Ms. Melissa Weiss, the director of the Vulnerability Disclosure Program at the Department of Defense. She will enlighten us on the role of the Department of Defense's Vulnerability Disclosure Program, or VLD, in strengthening cybersecurity. All right, let's delve into the Cyber Bites segment and uncover the most recent developments in the cybersecurity world. In current news, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, known as CISA, has added a critical GeoServer flaw, CVE 2024-36401, to its known exploited vulnerabilities catalog. This flaw, caused by an incorrect XPath evaluation, could enable remote code execution across all GeoServer implementations. Federal agencies are urged to update GeoServers by August 5th to prevent potential exploitation. Additionally, another critical remote code execution issue, CVE 2024-36404, has also been addressed in the updates. In other news, a significant data breach at AT&T has exposed the call and text message records of tens of millions of AT&T customers from the mid to late period of 2021. The compromised data includes telephone numbers, call durations, and interaction frequencies, but not the contents of communications. AT&T attributes the breach to an illegal download on a third-party cloud platform and has launched an investigation while coordinating with law enforcement. The company has assured that personal information such as social security numbers and customer names were not exposed, although tools can link names with phone numbers. AT&T is notifying affected customers and providing resources to protect their information. In other news, a bipartisan group of senators has introduced the Healthcare Cybersecurity Act of 2024 to address the increasing cyber threats in the healthcare sector. The bill, introduced by Senators Jackie Rosen, Todd Young, and Angus King, aims to improve cybersecurity by directing the Department of Homeland Security's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, or CISA, to collaborate with the Department of Health and Human Services. This collaboration will develop resources for non-federal entities on cyber threat indicators and defensive measures. The Act also mandates the creation of a special liaison within CISA to coordinate the government's response during cybersecurity incidents. While hacking incidents and ransomware attacks are on the rise, this legislation seeks to protect patients' data and healthcare providers' capabilities. That concludes today's headlines. We'll take a brief interlude and return with our guest, Ms. Melissa Weiss, to discuss the role of the Department of Defense's Vulnerability Disclosure Program in enhancing cybersecurity. Stay tuned, and we'll reconvene right here after the break. Did you know that women make up only about 24% of the cybersecurity workforce? It's time to change that. At ISACA GWDC, we're committed to supporting women in cybersecurity. Our community offers a range of programs designed to help women succeed. We provide mentorship opportunities, scholarships, and networking events that connect you with industry leaders and peers. ISACA GWDC is the Greater Washington, D.C. chapter of ISACA, an international professional association focused on IT governance, risk management, cybersecurity, and IT audit. Our chapter is dedicated to fostering a supportive environment for all genders in cybersecurity, with a particular focus on closing the gender disparity gap. We offer specialized training and certification programs that empower women with the skills needed to excel in this dynamic field. Our chapter's events and conferences provide platforms for women to share their experiences, learn from each other, and even grow together. Together, we can close the gender gap and build a stronger, more inclusive cybersecurity community. For more information on how ISACA GWDC supports women in cybersecurity, visit our website at www.isaca-gwdc.org or scan the QR code at the bottom of your screen to learn more. Welcome back to Cybersecurity Today. Joining us now is Ms. Melissa Weiss, Director of the Vulnerability Disclosure Program, sometimes referred to as the VDP, at the DoD Cyber Crime Center, or DC3. Melissa is a seasoned cybersecurity expert with a robust background, including strategic roles at the DC3 within the U.S. Air Force, where she has spearheaded various cybersecurity and cloud migration initiatives. She is recognized for her ability to communicate complex technical information effectively and has received numerous accolades, such as the Air Force Civilian Achievement Medal and the DoD CIO Cyber and IT Excellence Awards. Today, Melissa will discuss the role of the DoD's Vulnerability Disclosure Program, highlighting how this initiative is pivotal in enhancing the cybersecurity landscape by identifying and mitigating vulnerabilities in publicly accessible DoD information systems. Melissa, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Jim. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. We're so excited for you to be here. I thought maybe I'd ask if you could potentially talk a little bit about the Vulnerability Disclosure Program, what it is, how it was established, and also how it's maybe evolved over time. Can we start there?
Sure, that's a great place to start. So in November 2016, the Department of Defense decided that they wanted to be able to go to industry standards to improve cybersecurity in the DoD. And so the late Ash Carter had the great idea of, we're going to create a bug bounty event. So they had a bug bounty event of Hack the Pentagon. And from that came out of the VDP. Essentially, for the VDP, we've been operational. It's an enduring program for the past 7 years. And amazingly, we've had over 51,000 vulnerability reports reported to us by crowdsourced ethical hackers or global researchers. And we have a contract with HackerOne. Of those reports, over 29,000 of them have been actionable and remediated in that time frame. So that's kind of the basic gist of what the VDP actually is doing for the DoD.
So that was a great overview, Melissa. Can we now talk a little bit about the primary goals and objectives of the DoD Vulnerability Disclosure Program?
Absolutely. So since we were the very first federal vulnerability disclosure program to happen, essentially we opened up the ability to have crowdsourced ethical hackers provide their research to the Department of Defense. And initially when we started out, it was really the DoD websites and applications. But in 2021, we received a scope expansion from the Secretary of Defense because of the success of the program, and this opened up the ability for the researchers to look at all publicly accessible DoD information systems and networks. And that became quite an expansion because that includes Internet of Things, mobile devices, industrial control systems, and more. So that has been very successful for the program. Basically, that is allowing the program to pull the researcher community even deeper into the defense in depth process for the DoD.
So Melissa, thanks for that additional background on the Vulnerability Disclosure Program. Can you walk us through the typical process of identifying and addressing vulnerabilities within the program itself?
Oh, absolutely. So the Vulnerability Disclosure Program is actually comprised of three primary components. The first part is having the policy. So a well-defined policy informs the researcher community of what assets are in scope for them to research and how to report those findings. The second portion is the channel. And now the channel is really important because that tells the researchers, that gives them that safe harbor for creating those reports. So when the researcher submits that report and puts it into HackerOne, that comes in through our system, and we use a vulnerability report management network that's VRMN, which we lovingly call Vermin. And so that ingests those reports a few times a day into our system. The second and last part of all of the three parts is the process. And that's a diagram that you're probably looking at now that defines what happens to that report when it comes in. And the important part is that it is then ingested from the HackerOne platform into our DoD Vermin. It is then triaged and validated by the DC3 dedicated staff of cyber analysts. And if it is found to be what the DoD would think as a vulnerability, perhaps it is a security resource violation or something that doesn't fit the NIST standards, then it goes on to the system owner for remediation. And anytime during this process, the system owner can come back and ask for additional information or RFIs if they need additional assistance. So whether it's the DoD Vermin or the DIB, Defense Industrial Base Vermin, these are completely separate cradle-to-grave tracking systems that have their own unique workflows. But both workflows have triaging and validation of all reports by DC3 vulnerability analysts that before they go off to the system owner for a timely remediation based on the severity of the report. After the fix action from the system owner, they come back to DC3 and we revalidate to make sure that those remediations are 100% taken care of before we do any disclosure. But once those verifications have occurred, the originating researcher then is permitted to request a redacted, completely redacted version of the report. So at no time do the DoD or the Defense Industrial Base VDP identities of the organizations or the information become disclosed. And why would the researchers want that redacted report, you might ask? Basically because we're helping to build their reputation. We pay them for the reports out of reputation points, not monetarily. So they may want to take that redacted report and talk about their unique proof of concept they came up with at Black Hat or DEF CON or some other place. So that's really how this program is such a great asset for the U.S. government. It is a see something, say something program, not an open invitation to hack.
Understood, understood. So Melissa, let's talk now a little bit about how the program collaborates with external security researchers and hackers to enhance national security, cybersecurity efforts. Any thoughts on that?
Sure. as these cybersecurity threats persist, certainly the DoD is looking to find unique, innovative ways to identify how we can approach and bolster the security worldwide. And so that is really what those global crowdsourced ethical hackers are doing for us. They're combating malicious activities within the DoD and building trust partnerships with the public sector to counter these types of threats. Crowdsourced security has allowed for this ethical hacker community to contribute in very unique ways to national defense, as well as utilizing a diverse technical staff that we did not have for the DoD prior to the beginning of this program in 2016.
Understood, understood. Okay, Melissa, so I'm really interested. Talk to me a little bit about the metrics that the program uses to measure the success and impact of the VDP. Can you speak to that?
Sure. There are basically two different deliverables that are created on a monthly basis. The DoD VDP is stored on dc3.mil under our missions area under the VDP program. But what that report is called Bug Bites. And so we have those published out. You can go out and look at our public version of those. Basically, this will capture all of the reporting that happens month to month. And it highlights the fact that we've had over 51,000 reports submitted to the DoD VDP in the last 7 years by over 6,200 unique researchers. So that is really astounding. We have also had over 29,000 of those reports be actionable and be remediated for the DoD. Now, most of the time, what you're going to see in these reports is that they're going to align with MITRE's common vulnerability systems. So they would be their common vulnerability and exposures, or CVEs, and those typically correspond with software findings. And they would also, in a lot of instances, correspond with MITRE's CWEs, which is the common weakness enumerations. So you will get what are our top findings in that report month over month. And we do a roll-up at the end of the year that gives you trend analysis as well.
Awesome, awesome. So, Melissa, I'd like to now talk a little bit about the DIV VDP, which I know is a little different than what we've talked about. But can you spend a couple minutes and talk about what that is and what its primary objectives are?
Absolutely. So from the 7 years of working on the DoD VDP, we were able to do a 1-year pilot and take all the goodness and success, and we wanted to see, would that actually translate into the defense industrial base? How could we partner with these public entities and give them the same service that we've been giving to the DoD? We've become very aware that adversaries are keenly interested in the defense industrial base, and they require the same type of protection and service. So the pilot basically went after small to medium-sized companies, and that's essentially what we looked at for those 12 months. We thought we would do a very small pilot. We expected 20 companies to sign up. By the end of the year, we had 41.
Wow.
We had on that, for the 41 companies, we had 348 assets, publicly accessible assets that they put forth. And out of that, 288 unique cybersecurity researchers submitted reports. There ended up being 403 actionable reports that were 100% remediated during the pilot. And from that, if we kind of equivalence of what that cost in 2022, the IBM research report came out for data basically data costs for data breaches. And they estimated at that time those 403 reports would be worth $61 million in cost savings. So that told us that there was a large market there that needed to be filled. And so we are using the same methodology that I explained before, much of the same workflow, but again, a very separate system with a lot of everything is anonymized for the defense industrial base. It's kept very private. And as we talked about those deliverables, we have a monthly deliverable for the DIB VDP as well called Might Bytes, which gives many of the same metrics that aggregates that anonymized data, but helps to inform what type of vulnerabilities may be out there for those companies to look at.
So thanks for that explanation about the Defense Industrial Base's VDP. Can we talk a little bit about some of the lessons learned from running that pilot that you just described?
Absolutely. I would say one of the chief takeaways that we had, a big lesson learned, was how manually intensive it is to onboard those individual companies and their publicly accessible assets. So we have to go through and do a lot of hand-holding and white glove service, whereas the DoD VDP it's all in or it's all out. So we didn't really equate for that. But as we're going through, we knew we wanted to scale this certainly much larger. So how are we going to go from 41 companies to a larger percentage of the nearly 300,000 defense industrial base companies to be able to give this goodness out? And so what we came up with is that we knew we were going to have to integrate some artificial intelligence and machine learning to be able to effectively scale this program at a reasonable cost for the DoD.
Understood. Okay, so one final question when it comes to the Defense Industrial Base's VDP. What are the expected outcomes and impacts that you envision that it will have on the DIB itself? Any thoughts?
Yes, we partnered at DC3 with the Defense Counterintelligence and Security Agency, or DCSA. So together, these two agencies, after we ran the pilot, felt so strongly about how much impact this could have for the defense industrial base and the DoD writ large, that we chose to take out of pocket the money that we needed to be able to launch this program. So we stood it up, we launched it on the 3rd of June. So we've had the first month's metrics come back, and that has really been amazing. We have we only had time to enroll about 15 companies, but from that we had 143 vulnerability reports, with 68 of those being actionable. And the IBM's report has updated its metrics, so it's now 4.5 million for a data breach. So that represents $306 million in savings in our first month for the defense industrial base, once all 68 of those reports, those vulnerabilities, have been fully remediated. So it's an amazing program that has a lot of future impact for the DoD and the defense industrial base.
That's very impressive. Okay, so let's now talk a little bit about future initiatives. Melissa, what do you envision are the planned enhancements for the DC3 and the VDP that you might be able to share with us? Any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. DC3 has created its strategic goals for 2025. And one of our primary directions is to forge and strengthen partnerships, very deliberate partnerships with the defense, the interagency, our private sector, and international partners. To enable action, to provide insights, and efficiently reduce risk. We also are focusing on developing and deploying innovative solutions, much like the DIB VDP program that we just finished discussing. And then finally, we are also looking to identify and deploy insights and reduce risk that is relevant and informative of cyber threats and vulnerabilities to all of our partners within the law enforcement, counterintelligence, and beyond.
Understood, understood. Okay, Melissa, let's now talk about your personal perspective. Like from your estimation and your personal insight, what are some of the most rewarding aspects of running these high impact programs like the DIB VDP and just the DoD's VDP? Can you speak to that?
Sure. I have the best job in the world, Jim. I really do. I get to work with crowdsourced ethical hackers all day, and I have a very dedicated in-house team of cybersecurity vulnerability analysts. So they are so dedicated to their work. What really makes it important for us and what we love so much about it is that we know, my team and I know that every day we have an impact on national defense, and probably have never had another job previously and maybe never have another one in the future that has that much impact. So it is very rewarding. Understood,
understood. Last question for you. How can viewers of the show learn more about the DC3? Is there a website, social media that they can check out? Can you talk about that for a minute?
Sure, absolutely. Certainly, you can just look at us up on dc3.mil. You can find out all about the agency and all of the different mission spaces. And I would invite your viewers to join us on X, formerly Twitter, and we're at DC3VDP.
Melissa, we are out of time. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing your expertise with our audience. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's going to conclude today's episode. We extend our thanks to our guest, Ms. Melissa Weiss, for joining us and sharing her insights on the critical importance of the Department of Defense's Vulnerability Disclosure Program in enhancing cybersecurity. We hope that today's program has been both enlightening and stimulating, offering fresh perspectives on cybersecurity matters. For more information about cybersecurity today and to keep up to date on upcoming episodes, please be sure to visit our show's website at www.cybersecuritytoday.org. Additionally, you can scan the QR code displayed at the bottom of your screen for quick and easy access to our show's website. Finally, we welcome your questions or comments via email at contactus@cybersecuritytoday.org. Feel free to reach out to us. We look forward to seeing you at our next broadcast. Thanks a lot for joining us. Stay safe, stay informed.